And here's my backyard. So I hate mowing the grass, but I did it anyways because the neighbor next door will call the bylaw office if I don't. There's my roommate's drying out her tent, go camping. There's the neighbor's cedar tree, which I let him come over and trim because I'm too lazy. And he's got a nice oak tree. And these are my Manitoba maples, they're called. They're a type of ash. They grow like weeds, and they burn really well in a fire when you dry them out. So, this is the old school backyard. It was built way back in the 30s, and then the house was rebuilt in the 50s. Now there's part that was built in the 90s. And then this is my redneck shed. It's made out of what's called dunnage, which is the bottom of a lift of lumber. They throw them out, so I take them home and I built frames with them. And I had an old tin shed and I threw a roof on it as temporary. I'm going to peak that roof. And it sits on a paper machine felt for a floor and concrete blocks for a bit of a foundation. So, and then on the outside of it is a laminate cover sheet. They send this on the top of laminate flooring so it doesn't get damaged. Then it's garbage because it's not really good for anything. But it's held up to the weather for 3 years. Nothing's happened to it. I used drywall screws to put them on. So that was all really cheap. The whole shed cost $30 in screws. Everything else was free, and I had a spare bucket of stain, so I just threw that on there. It was sitting around from before and just enough. There's the lumber pile building over there. That's all whitewood lumber underneath the tarp. And more lumber I got a stack. I haven't gotten around to. And my girlfriend trimmed the trees, so there's all the branches. She wouldn't let me film her doing it with her friend, which is a shame because it's pretty hot. And then this is my other redneck shed. So I use the lumber tarp, which they throw away too, for insulation and vapor barrier, which works really well. And it actually is black on the inside, so it kind of heats up. So it keeps everything nice and dry and warm because it gets really cold here. Then there's, they threw away that door. It's a steel house door. And then that one I sheathed overlapping the laminate, and then I'm going to put vinyl siding on it for just some cheap garbage later. And that's that. And there's the neighbor's shed, which is built too close to my property line. And so this it's a backyard. There's a neighbor's yard. There's no fence, which is cool. I like the open area. All the neighbors are cool except for on the other side of the fence. He's a total asshole. I call him the Nazi. I tell him to his face because he is a Nazi. And I'm gonna build a deck over here, so I'm gonna go clean that shit up. Build it all the way out to the tent, so I can enjoy the backyard before I put a door out the back of my house here. This is out my back window. There's my yard looking back at the house, and the window I was talking out of. And the ash trees. And Nazi Germany over there. And a close-up of my cheap shed that I'm not done with. It's full of building materials that they throw out, and scrap wood I have from before. Same with this one. But like I say, I have to peak the roof. There's how you see I built the inside. Cheap. Cheap as borscht. I didn't cut anything. Hardly. For this half I had to cut them in half. But the bottom half I just nailed together. So I'm going to put plastic on the inside of this. And then peak this roof, which I made a cheap beam. Or no, sorry, engineered wood beam. That's what they call them nowadays. My plywood back wall because it was free. Put some plexiglass there for light. And how cheap is my shed that I threw up? Because all this crap was in my house. I don't want to throw it away because I needed parts off some of these things. There's all these tiles which I want to use in the basement furnace room to lay down. And lawnmower that needs to be fixed, which I didn't plan on using but I had to because this one seems to be having problems. So I've seen Dave with one. So I've been working on it and we'll see what happens. For the deck, I've been saving these. They're scrap. These are what come on the bottom of the lifts of lumber. But they're free. They throw them out. It's garbage. So I take them home, build deck panels, and well, you'll see what happens. I'm going to sand this down with a belt sander and stain it. And then from the bottom, well, we have pressure treated. This is a shitty one, but it's an example of, there we go, 2x4s. There, this is a good one. But yeah, for the base of it, it's free, PT. And that's a whole pile of free PT. But since the Nazi called the bylaw office and my car not having an exhaust, and the car was shitty anyways, I have a car that can't hold piles of wood, so this is as much as the trunk of a Mercury Mystique will hold in one trip without folding the seats down. So that's it, plus a couple of concrete blocks.